Nitai Duranja, going through the book Education for Life, the core book of Education for Life Schools, published back in the 80s by J. Donald Walters, and my teacher. And I'm going to share some incidents today around this topic of the second of the 4 stages of maturity. The first stage is the body years, the foundation years. The second one is about feelings. Third is about will, and fourth is about the intellect. These feeling years are so important and often neglected. It's not too hard to look at a child and see their body developing, but the feelings are invisible, and it's hard to see them when you first look, unless you're training to look and see, well, how is this child doing in developing their feelings? So the reading today from this chapter, the emphasis throughout this second 6-year phase of education should be on teaching through the feelings and the emotions, and particularly on developing the finer feelings. For it is during these years that the child can begin to direct his emotions constructively instead of letting them rule him. So if you're looking at a child below the age of 6, often that's the case. Their feelings rule them. They have these temper tantrums, almost everybody, and they're just not able to deal with it effectively. But so you just try to get through it as quickly as you can. Often the best tool at that stage is just to change the environment. They're upset, pick them up, walk outside. All of a sudden things change because their attention is on the physical plane. So, but as you get on this next stage, the challenge is, well, how do you develop feelings? How do you develop emotional sensitivity? And fortunately, the last 15, 20 years, there's been a lot of things come out about emotional intelligence, and they're excellent things. They didn't exist when we started the school back in the 70s. At least I didn't know of any of them at that point. But I took this on as a challenge. It's like, okay, how am I going to focus on the feelings with these kids? They were 8, 9, 10-year-olds. And the idea that came to me was, well, let's just create a little chart. So we got a little 3x5 card for everybody, and we made a little chart on it, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And there was a space underneath the day of the week to be colored in. And the colors were very simple. It was blue means I'm happy, red means I'm unhappy, I'm upset. And so this is very simple. But even in the simplicity, it was very powerful, as you'll see. So we decided that we would check ourselves every day just before lunch. So we finished our morning, so we had a time together, a couple hours together already, and we would take out these cards. Actually, I think I remember taping them on their desks. So it was on the top of their desks, they could see it. And so 11:30 on Monday, okay, it's time to complete our charts for the day. So they'd have to think about, well, this morning, was I happy or was I sad? And if they were happy, they colored it blue, and if it was sad, they colored it red. And so we would go there day by day, and then they had a little record for the week to see, let's see, I was happy those days, I was sad. And so that was all we did in the first couple of weeks. But then somebody said, well, it'd be interesting to know why I was happy or sad. So the next time we added a little line under the card that said, why? And so you fill in the blue square if you're happy, and say, I'm happy because my friend was really nice to me today, or whatever it was, or I was sad because whatever happened. And so we started keeping a track that way. And then one of the kids one day said, I'm happy, but I don't have a reason. And so we thought, that's a whole new thing. Is it possible to be happy without a reason? And so happy without a reason became a option. And it was just happy. And then if you're on a physical, philosophical level, you can say, well, they were touching into their inner happiness on that particular day. But what it did was it just made these feelings come alive. and that all of a sudden, happy and sad. Well, from there, we kept expanding as the year went on, and we kept adding different feelings. I was bored. I was calm. I was joyful, whatever. And so they developed a vocabulary over that year, and probably by the end of the year, we probably had 30 or 40 different feelings, and they became more and more refined in it. And it was all we were doing was just that very simple, just charting it on a daily basis for them. They enjoyed that. They enjoyed that part of it, and so these feelings, became a topic. And then we could share it from other, if we were studying history or something, we could talk about the feelings of the people in the book we were talking about, or whatever it was, literature. And so it's a direction that has enormous potential for exploring, but you can just start in the simplest way possible. The second example I wanted to share was just, again, the kind of tuning into the feelings and learning through the feelings. So this was a activity around the topic of cooperation versus competition. It's a very common topic with young people. And the way that the teacher brought this up was she played a game with them, which is, again, in this 6 to 12 age range, just playing games is a wonderful focus for them. So she brought in the game of musical chairs. Probably all of you are familiar with that. You have 10 kids, you have 9 chairs. The music plays, they walk around the chairs. Music stops, everybody dives for a seat, and one person is left out, and they have to go sit in the sidelines. And then you take out one more chair and the next time, and so there's 8 chairs and 9 kids, and you keep going, and one person gets tossed off each time till finally one person, who's usually the biggest and the pushiest, has, quote, won. And it's a very competitive game. You're elbowing each other, and usually people don't have a whole lot of fun with it. They don't like sitting outside, and they get upset because somebody pushed them. So there's a lot of downside to it. But they played it that way. And then the teacher said, okay, now we're going to try, I'm only going to change one part of this game, but it's to help, I want you to see a particular result. So in this game, you have 10 kids and 9 chairs to start with. They're walking around, the music stops, and the goal is that everybody has to be able to get on a chair. Nobody's left out. So if you see somebody without a chair, you can say, come on over here, you can have this part, this one. And then of course, so there's 10 kids and 9 chairs. Well, next time there's 10 kids because nobody got left out, and there's only 8 chairs. So you do the same thing over and over again. Nobody's ever, everybody's always gets a seat because they cooperate. And finally you have 10 kids in 1 chair. And it gets very, very funny to see how they're able to get 10 bodies on 1 chair. And everybody is, completely happy with the whole thing. And then, of course, after the activity, the teacher will say, okay, what did you feel during that time? What was your feeling the first time? And they get them to talk about the feelings of being left out or being upset because they got pushed. And then the second time, how did you feel in the second game? What was it like when people scooted over to make room for you on their chair, or called you over because there was a little space for you? And so these feelings, again, they can come to the surface, and in an experiential way, which is a hallmark of Education for Life, that they experience what it feels like to cooperate as opposed to compete. Okay, goodbye for today.